Good night, everyone.
How's
Welcome
it
to
going?
another Security on DeFi. Welcome 2023. This year shall be amazing for crypto. Hopefully, we'll see green, 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 green.
Exactly.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Good, good. A little more excited than usual. I guess new year, new
Yeah,
expectations, new ideas.
that's
I'm
right.
excited, man. I'm excited. I feel like we've been on a bear market for too long.
Ooh, yeah. I mean, it's always tough to endure, but you just have to think about the good days ahead, right?
Today, I held a space, and I was actually mentioning that how. Uh, hey, Sherry, how you doing? Good night. Thank you for being here, guys. If you can, smash the like button. Let's help us. Share the tweet that says we're live, by the way, to let everybody know we're here. I'm actually sending it to um, on Twitter, on the groups, to let everybody know that we're live. We did start a little bit earlier, which is okay. More time for us to hang out. Uh, Let me see. All right. All right, man. It's definitely not, and I am blocking you right now.
Oh, what happened?
Not even gonna mention because it's not worth
Yeah,
it.
I got you. Don't give them the attention that they want so
Yeah,
badly.
man, not even worth it. But that's a good point. You know why? It shows that the token and the channel are growing. Because if people are coming here to hate on us, they're
Yeah.
worried about it.
Yeah, exactly. It's part of the game. It's the part of the game, I guess. It's part of the space. It's part of anything, honestly.
Yep.
It's funny. I've
We
just,
more than anyone know, right, Ty? I
yeah,
mean,
that's for
rise up
sure.
and the Wolfpack Saitama with all those. I'm not even gonna mention names because it's not worth it. But with all those crazy people that came by last year,
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, that's one of the things that I've kind of told myself that not, I wouldn't really call it a resolution, but because it's not really a big change for myself, I don't think. But one thing that I've told myself this year is I want to be more patient with people, to try to, intervene when I can, just to try to give the level-headed perspective. Sometimes I don't have a dog in the fight, but I see these fights going back and forth, and honestly both people have points, and the only real problem is the lack of respect between them. If they had respect between them, they could actually have a real conversation and accomplish something. It's so counterproductive to a good conversation to throw insults in there, because once you insult somebody, they're not going to listen to you. No matter how good of a point you have, it does not matter
even
anymore.
if you're right.
Yeah, exactly. And your point gets lost, right? So you're working. What's the point in arguing with somebody? Not argue, but debating with somebody if you're never going to come to a conclusion because insults take over and it's not about the content of your conversation anymore. You know, it's hard, but
There's many different types of community members. I'll put it like that. And there's the ones who just keep a peaceful mind, just sit back and relax. And there's those that you cannot talk about my project. I'm gonna kill you, and they go after people. I love them all.
yeah,
I do believe karma is here always. So if you're
absolutely.
hitting a project that's good, you hitting up people's pocket as well, and good people that are investing, thinking of a good future. So I'm gonna get back to you. So if those other members get at you, if you're doing this, I really don't care. Actually,
Yeah.
you
My
know,
biggest
I,
thing
I
is
just
that
read and laugh.
I really don't have an issue with somebody has a question or has a fact, or even, like I said, if it's not a fact, if it's a question, I don't mind if you ask the question, right? Because you should ask the question. I would expect you to ask the question. If you don't
but if you ever ask a question to any devs or any token and they cut you off, they block you, whatever they do not invest in that project.
Yes, exactly. And the thing is that it's how you ask the question. Sometimes you got to understand that even good devs get it from all angles half the time, and so it gets frustrating when somebody, there's a difference between asking a question and making an accusation. And a lot of times when you do ask a question, you're doing it in a way that you are making an accusation. So try to steer away from that. If you want a real answer, ask a real question. If you don't like the answer, then I would say you've gotten your answer, right? But you don't have to like it, and you don't have to argue with them. It's not going to do you any good. It's one thing that Rise Up learned over a year ago was that
I was there when you guys learned.
Yeah, when you go after people and you go after projects to expose, we've learned to just expose what we know and what we have and let people sort it out. It'll either turn out to be true and they'll come back, or it'll turn out to be, if we're stating facts, then it's facts. If it's an opinion, then let the community continue to ask. But what you end up doing is you end up arguing with the exact people you're trying to help, which, like I said, is counterproductive. There's no point in arguing with investors because investors are the same people you're trying to help. So getting into an argument with them is what's the point? You're really not trying to help them at that point. You're trying to stroke your own ego. You know what I mean? So the best thing to do is just put it out there and let it go where it may. And if later on people realize you were right, then they come back and either they come back and know you're right, but they may not admit it. But I promise you, they listen more next time you say something. Whether they admit it or not, they're still going to listen. Now, if you offend someone, they stop listening pretty much forever. It doesn't matter how much you're right. It's not about being right anymore. It's about you're being an asshole or whatever, and sometimes it's the other way around. It comes from the other direction. So, just if somebody gets nasty, I just ask people to ask them not to be nasty and leave the conversation, because what's the point in the conversation really? And also remember, this is the internet. That's one thing I had to remind myself. This is the internet, and there are people that just troll because they like to troll, and they really don't care about the outcome one way or the other. They're just trying to get under your skin, and if they do, they've accomplished their goal. That's their only goal. And they're out there. Anytime you're on Twitter and stuff, you're going to see a lot of comments that are people that have nothing to do with the project. They're just throwing stuff out there to try to get people riled up because they like to do it, and
totally agree.
If that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. I can't do anything about it, but I don't need to engage because that's what they want. They win when you engage. So, but like I said, that's my biggest thing is to try to help intervene with these. When people are like, people tend to call each other names. You're stupid, or you're too thick-headed, or you're too, whatever. You don't know anything about crypto. All of this stuff, and whether that's true or not, to do it in a way that's going to upset them. I don't know what you think you're going to accomplish other than making yourself feel better, I guess, from upsetting someone. I mean, you can't take the high road after you've called somebody a bad name and been insulting. There's no more high road for you then. Take the high road and walk away. I've said what I had to say, and now I'm done. If you don't like it, that's fine.
And speaking of security, sometimes if you do go at those people, they might, try to find a way of finding your wallet. Because, sometimes we left a comment with our wallets because we thought we were going to get some giveaways or whatever stupid reason was.
Never, ever.
You never know. So stay out of it. It's not worth
one thing from that comment, that's the one thing. I want to tell anybody who's listening, do not ever post your wallet. I don't care what you cut out of it. If it has the exact number of tokens or your exact dollar amount and people see it, they can figure out with the blockchain who you are. They can at least narrow it to a point to where they know who you are for sure.
And if you do, make sure that, I have done that. I'm not going to lie. I actually did it last month. But I sent... I also want to say thank you to Jeff. He did send the giveaway, which was for the charity. and I did send it to him, but I sent him the wallet address that I do not use. That it's for like giveaways. So
Yeah, I mean, did you do that on a public or did you do that in DM?
I actually didn't do it.
Oh,
This is how I got in. I got into Jess, which I thought he was like, not legit. But then going back on Twitter and all, I saw that he was legit because he switched his profile picture, and I didn't know I knew him from back in the days. But anyways, I saw him like doing a lot of giveaways. I'm like, that's a scam, man. Nobody's doing that many giveaways in the bear market.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was like, no. But then mine from the community who was one of the supporters for the charity raffle. He commented my giveaway wallet because I have sent him to send the raffle, right? So he commented my wallet. I'm like, oh, it's there already, whatever, And I was like, man, he commented it. I'm not gonna, even get this donation.
Yeah.
At the end, I was very happy because he was a very good and legit participant on the charity.
I mean, having your wallet address doesn't really it affects more your personal security than it does the security of your wallet. I mean, without the seed anybody can get any wallet address just by going through the blockchain. They can find high wallet addresses. They can find all of that. They just can't put the person to the wallet. That's where it gets dangerous because now you have a person connected to that wallet, especially if that wallet has a lot in it. Unfortunately, there are people out there that see that and might want to get it. And in a lot of cases, it's easier for them to get you, and get it that way. So
I never look at it like, they're gonna find me through my wallet address. But then there are some very smart people out there, and through the wallet address and maybe the IP, they might be able to find some mistake that somebody has done to log in or connect in social media. Then they can get to you and get an email, whatever it is.
The social media aspect of it, the social media is far more dangerous. Just someone having your wallet and they didn't have Twitter, they didn't have anything else, they didn't know anything about it except for this is a wallet address. That's not going to do them very much good. Your name's not attached to that wallet. Except for in your whatever wallet you use, MetaMask or whatever, it could be attached that way. If you've obviously if you've KYC'd with anything with that wallet, then of course it could be attached to you. But that should be fairly well protected. But Twitter, trust me, the right person can find you with Twitter, just from being on Twitter. There's things that people don't know about the internet and how it works. I mean, your computer has a fingerprint. Every computer is slightly different, right? Every single computer, in the way that it is built, it will leave a fingerprint. The right person knows how to follow those fingerprints and can see everywhere you've ever been, on the internet. So there are a lot of things that you can do to protect yourself, and then in some circumstances you have to give up some of that by being on social media.
Since we're talking about that already, I see down here you share the screen. Is that what the slides?
Yes.
Can I bring it up or later on?
You should be able to bring it up. Yeah, you can. You should be able to bring it up. I'm trying to. Yeah, it'll still change. I just wanted to make sure it was still going to change for me, but it will. I've never actually done a slideshow on StreamYard before. I didn't know how it worked, so I didn't know if I'd get it up. It let me upload it, which was pretty cool. I was able to upload it before we came on, so it made it a lot easier rather than trying to pull it from the right place on my computer to show it. But yeah, that's one of the things we were going to talk about. That was the main thing we were going to talk about today. Was I got together was some basic internet safety tips. Now I do know that a lot of these will sound like I know this, and that's fine. Some maybe not, but at the same, I don't think you could ever pay enough attention to it. I mean, just to remind yourself. I was going over these today, and as I was making it, I was reminding myself, of certain things that I haven't done lately that I should do, and things like that. So it's important to just make sure you remind yourself every now and then. And for some out there, it'll definitely be helpful. So the big thing, the basic safety on the internet is pretty pretty important. You know, it's different than your wallet safety. It's more like what we were just talking about. So we'll go to the first one. So the first one I put was protect your personal information with strong passwords. When creating a new password, pay attention to strong password requirements. Change your password often. Don't share your password with other people. Don't use common, easily guessable passwords. Make sure passwords and password hints are stored securely. Now, a lot of that sounds like, oh, I knew that, you know, but a lot of us know we should change our passwords often, but we don't. That was one of the things that reminded me of that I have not done in a while. It just helps because if people are trying to take a shot, they can keep going back and back and back, and they eventually may hit it. It's just, you know, changing passwords is a pain, right? We all know it because it's hard to remember them once you've changed them, and then you go back and you tell it's not the right password. It's like anything else, though. If you are concerned with safety, sometimes you have to take extra steps. And if you don't want to take those steps, it's fine, but you just need to understand that you're a little bit more vulnerable. That doesn't mean somebody's going to hack you tomorrow. You know, but it just means you're a little bit more vulnerable.
They will.
Yeah, exactly. But they could, you know. A lot of people, you know, the good thing, one thing that I've noticed with a lot of sites lately is that they require your password to be to a certain strength. You know, used to, they'd let you put just about anything in there as long as you had like one number, one capital letter. You know, now they're making you put one number, one capital letter, some sort of symbol, you know. Yeah, exactly. So those type of things, and you know, the strongest ones are basically random, honestly, because there's no way to tie it to you, but they're also almost impossible to remember without writing them down, and that's an issue too because you don't want to lose it. You know, it's not like your wallet address though. That's another thing to remember. You can recover, you know, an internet site or something like that.
Do not put in your password birthday dates, marriage dates, whatever dates. Don't put it
children's names, children's birthdays. All these things are easily.
Father, mother, no.
Yeah, none of that. Not your favorite sports team, because anybody who knows you knows what your favorite sports team is. You know, I mean, it's just there's a lot of things. It is helpful if it's random. It is. Now, I will say this, and I will say this is one thing I don't do, and that is I tend to change them all, and then when I change them all to the same thing because I can't keep up with 20 passwords. I just can't, not without writing them down, and I don't see the point in writing them down. If I write them down, that kind of defeats the purpose. You know, so, you know, I can lock them up, I guess, like I do, you know, my seed address, my seed phrases, you know, but I don't know. I do. That's one thing I'll admit that I don't do that I should do. You should, across the board, you should have different passwords so that if somebody gets into one, they don't get into it all, you know, because they may hack you through a way, not your password, and then obtain your password. And now they have passwords to like everything. So it's not a smart thing to do.
There are like programs also that, you know, be trying to get the password right and with the information and all of it.
Yeah, anyway. I mean, brute force programs are tough these days just because most apps and most websites, if you try to make if you try to guess too much, either too fast or just too much, they will automatically lock it down because they know there's something wrong, you know. So brute force is tough, but it's still possible. Don't just because it's tough, and also don't assume that every internet site has the same security. You know, and there's going to be a couple of things that we can go. There's actually going to be on this list too that'll help you understand if that site is a little more secure. So we'll go to number 2. Number 2, keep personal information private. When you sign up for something online, read the terms and conditions. Nobody does that, but you should. Never enter your financial information on a website that isn't secure. And here's what I was talking about. Look for the padlock or the HTTPS : // That tells you that there is some sort of security. When you see that padlock up there, that means that there is security on the website. If you do not see it, it is wide open.
Thank you, Ty. You didn't mention, oh my, that's so many information that over time we forget. That's something I used to check all the time, but then I totally forgot about it. I don't even check anymore.
Yeah.
You know, that was a good call, man.
Exactly. And like I said, those are things that, and when I forgot about that too, so it's just a thing it's so simple, right? Just look in your address bar and to the left and see what it says. If that padlock's there, I'm not saying it's completely safe, but it is safer than if it is not there. If it is not there, I would say put zero information in there, and financial, your financial information on a website, you need to be pretty doggone sure you know who you're dealing with, the company you're dealing with, and that you're on the right site. Because there's a lot, we've seen a lot of fake sites out there that mimic a legitimate site to get your information from you. So that's something that's very important, and that's another thing that'll help you with that padlock. And to read the terms and conditions, like I said, nobody does it, right? But every app, somebody was saying today, we were talking about an app, and it was like, well, they sell your information. And I was like, yeah, and every other app on my phone does too. I mean, I don't know what to tell you about that. You know what I'm saying?
I did have to go through a contract today, and I was just reading, and I actually had to call them like 3 times. I'm like, why is this mentioning on my contract? It's like, no, but that's not for you. It's just one of the options we have. So if it's not for me, why is it there?
Yeah, exactly.
I had to read like 3 times, man, because this was something actually big time for me. I'll put it like that. So I had to read it over and over and over again.
I mean, the thing is that, look, I know the terms and conditions are long and mundane, and some of it you may not even understand. But that's okay. If you don't understand, look it up. I mean, it's important to know what you're signing over when you put an app on your phone, on your tablet. You are giving a lot, Facebook, they are collecting information. They are not making all of that money off of advertisements. A lot of the money they're making is coming from selling information. There's a reason why every time you look up something on Google, you start getting ads for what you looked up for. Those are on Facebook, because they're paying attention, and they're watching. Some of that, I guess, is helpful because it gives you the things that you're looking for, right? But yeah. It's part. Just understand that that's what you're doing when you get an app. There's very few apps out there that are not collecting information, honestly. And even a lot of the ones that say they are not collecting information, they are collecting information. Uniswap is a perfect example that everybody thought they were not. They're decentralized. They're not collecting information. Well, lo and behold, this year they admitted they are collecting information. So, just never assume. Never assume they're not. And like I said, part of with me is that if they're a legitimate company, they're collecting information, whether they're selling it, whatever they're doing with it. Just try not to do things on your phone. Keep passwords, stuff like that, as little as possible, because that's not the information you're giving them a legitimate company access to. But that doesn't mean that an illegitimate company isn't going to access that information. It could be written in that terms and conditions that they can access that information, and you just signed away that ability to basically do anything about it. If it's illegal, it's illegal. You can't have a contract that enforces an illegal act. At least not in America. I think very few countries would say that's okay. It makes the contract null and void, but it just makes it harder to get your money back or to figure out what happened. So be careful, and just be careful with the sites that you choose to go to. And also remember, your incognito does not make you any safer. People use the incognito and they think that means that they're not gathering information and this and that. That means none of that at all. That just means your computer is not keeping that history on your computer specifically. That means nothing about anything else. So don't think that your incognito tab makes you safe. Has nothing to do with safety. It's about people not knowing what sites you've been on, basically, who have access to your computer. Who already have access to the computer. So it doesn't give you any extra safety. You're not incognito to the sites themselves. You're incognito to the computer. So We'll go to number 3. Make sure your devices are secure. Utilize passwords and other security options like fingerprint readers and face scanning technology. 30% of smartphone users don't use passwords, screen locks, or other security features to lock their phones. Secure all devices, including computers, phones, tablets, and devices like smartwatches and smart TVs. So you're putting this information in these devices, but then the device isn't secure. I don't know that a lot of people realize that, you know, when you press that little button to sell Google or whoever to save your credit card information, that's accessible through your phone, just so you know, through Google. Your passwords that are automatically saved in Google are also on a list on your phone, you know. And if you go to the Google, your Google, and go to your personal Google, you will be able to find those passwords. So that means anyone else who has your phone can do the same thing.
If you guys do have any questions while we're speaking this, please drop down, let us know. We're just gonna, you know, keep talking and talking because this is information we wanted to share since last week, at least. So if you do have any questions while we're speaking, just let us know.
And a lot of people forget about like smart TVs and whatnot. Now, the password doesn't need to be able to, I don't necessarily think it's even possible on most of them, but it doesn't mean you got to lock your TV so you can watch it. That means you need a password so you can access the information on it. Smartwatches, either they are of their own or they're completely connected to your phone. So obviously those are things you need to look at. A smartwatch is basically a phone if it has the service, and if it's not, then it's connected to your phone. So, you know, it's the same thing. So we'll move to number 4. So pay attention to software updates. We've kind of touched on this a couple of times before, I think, when we were talking about wallet security. Pay attention to software updates, promptly install software updates, especially when they include important security upgrades. If device has been off, be sure to check for updates immediately. Set up automatic updates on your devices so you never miss one. So this is something really important with wallet security, because I hear a lot of people talk about using a phone that they keep offline or off as a cold storage. In and of itself, that is okay. You know what I mean? In and of itself, that is okay. But the problem is when your phone is off or offline, it is not getting security updates. So as soon as you turn your phone on, it is vulnerable immediately. So that's the difference between it and, say, a ledger or something like that, right? There's their extra layer of protection. Also, if you have it on that phone, somebody else can turn your phone on. That's another thing where your phone needs to be, you know, protected. I just think that a lot of people forget about that. And the majority of all updates on your phone or any device or anything that has to do with the internet, usually, I think it's around 80% are for security. So you're not missing an update that's going to give you this extra button. You're missing an update that's going to keep you from getting your wallet drained. So make sure you keep them up to date. And I'm not saying you can't use those phones. You can. The big thing is to be make sure you're not logged into your wallet, and make sure you do an update when you turn the phone on. So make sure when you get off the phone, you're not logged in, you're not connected to your wallet, so that when you come back onto the phone.
Do that right now. I'm actually going to check if mine has any update. Not
yeah. When you come back to your phone, do your updates, you know, and then before you check your wallet. That way it gets any updates, check for updates. System updates should be fine. I'm not talking about now, if you're using a specific wallet, obviously that wallet needs to be up to date. That's probably by far the most important. But the system update and then your phone update. If you're going to use a phone for something like that, I would recommend like wiping it clean of any apps except for what is absolutely necessary. That way you don't have anyone else, a third party, inside your phone when you turn it on. So that, you know, if you're going to use it for that purpose, then use it only for that purpose. And otherwise, you might as well just use your regular phone because it's always up to date, you know.
And none of those that Ty just mentioned, do not think that, oh, that's whatever. It's not going to happen through that because I haven't checked my HTTPS link, you know. But it's not like if you do one thing wrong, you're gonna get hacked. You can, but then why would you take the odds, right? I mean, try to go the little. If you do not have the money to do the right way, buy a separate device to use, or all those that we have said in the past, non-ledge, different devices, antivirus, VPNs, everything helps. Okay,
Yeah.
so if you
Now
use
remember,
your wallet on that phone, do I need an antivirus? Do I need a VPN? You need all of it because
yeah, the one thing
everything.
to remember about a VPN, a lot of people get VPNs confused. VPNs are more about personal security, and that people can't it makes it harder, not impossible, but harder for them to obtain your IP address and where you are personally, where your body is at that moment. It does most VPNs do very little to protect information on your computer.
For those of you who don't know, VPN stands for Virtual Private Network. Okay, it's like when you're logged in on your Wi-Fi. If you turn that VPN on, and I'm in Brazil, so I can put my location as if I'm in America or Russia, wherever I want to put it. So it makes it harder for people in that way to get access to my phone.
Yeah,
Or my network.
Access to
people can get access to your phone through your Wi-Fi, through your network. Sorry, Ty, go ahead.
Yes. Well, and like I said, what it really does is it really protects people. It makes it much harder for people to get access to you personally, to your physical person. That is the big thing about a VPN, because it doesn't. If they think if the IP address says that you're in America, if they're looking for you in America, and they're in the wrong place. It doesn't do a ton. It gives them a couple of extra hurdles, but as far as accessing your computer, they still have access. They just don't see where it's coming from. So it's more of a personal protection than it is an actual security protection for your software. So don't think there's a lot of people that think, okay, I'm on a VPN, I'm safe. That's not going to keep you from getting hacked. You can get hacked on a VPN just like you can get hacked anywhere. It really protects your IP and where you are. So that's and like I said, that is not an end all be all. Anybody who has the ability or has the skill, VPN doesn't do very much. They'll bounce it off and find it. They'll know. Say the government, if you're doing it to trick the government, if they haven't figured it out, it's just because they don't care. If they want to, they will. If they were to come after you in that specific issue or whatever it was, they're gonna find you. You're not gonna keep the government out. They're coming, because the VPN is not gonna hide you. Like I said, there are fingerprints for your computer. A VPN won't protect you from that. That hardware fingerprint will still be the same. So through that fingerprint, they can make searches and find every site you've ever been to, which will narrow down where you live. If you do internet searches for restaurants near me, you know what I mean? So, it's just so many things that people just forget about. And there's so many things that are considered for security, and they are security, but it's for a different type of security than what people know. It's more about personal safety than it is internet safety for a VPN. So, and I'm not saying they're a bad thing or you shouldn't bother. I'm just saying that understand, they're not in lieu of, of virus protections or anything like that. They're along with, they help keep somebody, like what I was saying before. Somebody could use find out where you were, and then find out that you have a wallet to say you had $10 million in a wallet. They can't hack the blockchain, but guess what? If they find out where you are, they can make you give them the money.
And you don't take the precautions you need to, you don't deserve those $10 million. If you're starting off right now and you have like a couple bucks and you're like, oh man, I don't want to buy a separate device because I either buy a device or I invest in crypto, I can understand you. But if you have $1,500,000 up, and you're not taking precautions like non-ledge or other safe ways, antivirus, VPN, separate device for usage, and all of that, you don't deserve that money.
Well, it's just like crypto. If you can't afford to lose it, then you better do everything you can to keep from losing it. If it's an amount of money that will hurt you personally and financially, if you lose it, then you need to do everything you can to make sure you don't lose it. Because like you said,
Don't say that. You're gonna get so many people upset. Going back to last November, I mean the one before.
yeah, yeah, oh yeah. I mean, it's
so
just
like, oh yeah, myself.
yeah, exactly.
I have done that as well, guys. We all have done it. I haven't done 100%, but there were projects which I should have taken profit, and I did it.
Yeah, I mean that's that's a big thing, you know. With it's a tough call because nobody can tell you when you should. It's a personal decision, you know. Same, it's just like investing, you know. Nobody can really tell.
Let me check Ty's hair because Darren just said, "Love the hair, Ty. Looks amazing, bro."
I don't know. I put some extra mousse in it. It's getting too long. I had to paste it down. It was kind of wild the last time I was on. I was like, oh God. And all of a sudden it's getting warm here again. You know, it was 17 degrees, a week ago, and it's 70 degrees now. It's like, Jesus, you know, 70 degrees isn't that hot, but when it was 17 degrees a week ago, it feels hot, you know? All right. So we'll move on to number 5.
Definitely very hot.
Yeah. So we'll move on to the next one. We'll move on to number 5, and then we've kind of, a lot of these we'll touch on as we're going through them because, you know, they kind of interconnect. So be careful about your Wi-Fi. Do not trust public Wi-Fi security. Avoid connecting to unsecure public Wi-Fi networks. Make sure you are on Wi-Fi networks that are protected with strong passwords. Remember, tip number 1, and change your Wi-Fi password frequently. So,
well, if you're done mentioning, I want to actually tell a story that happened to a friend of mine. But when you're done with that, before we go to the next.
No, that was it. I read it.
Okay. So there was a friend of mine who he's in crypto for a while. He should have known better. He knew better, but sometimes you're in a situation in your life that you do not think right, and you might do the wrong mistake. And this friend of mine, he was with his wife pregnant, and he was a day trader, right? He used to trade a lot, and he made a lot of money, trust me. And once his wife went into labor, he went to the hospital, and I guess his head wasn't there. He knew better, but you know, that day he was trying to do a trade, and he logged in on his phone on the hospital's Wi-Fi. Guess what? He lost $700,000 worth of gold. And most of it was actually worth of 𝗪𝗓𝗓 and other projects that he was day trading a lot. And he lost it all just because he logged in the hospital's Wi-Fi. And now that I mention this, hospitals, mall, drugstores, places that many people go, those are like the places that you might even find somebody sitting on a car on their computer trying to hack somebody that's inside the mall. You know,
Walmart.
Walmart.
Oh my God. Walmart.
Places that a lot of people go, and you know, especially nowadays, that a lot of people pay with like apps and all of that, right? So those places are very dangerous. You know, if you connect, oh man, let me pay on Walmart. What's the Wi-Fi here so I can log in and pay this bill? For whatever reason, you know,
use your data. Use your data.
Yeah. If you
use your data.
You're most likely safe a lot more than if you connect on a Wi-Fi. When you connect on any Wi-Fi's, if somebody is connected to that same Wi-Fi, that person can go in your phone, and it's not that hard for those who know.
No,
so
not
make
at all.
sure that Oh, I'm gonna hit the gym. Yeah, man. Let me, connect to the Wi-Fi so I can listen to some music. If that's the device that you hold your crypto, never connect on any Wi-Fi. Oh, I got a dentist appointment. I'm going to the wherever. Do not connect, because that's where people try to trust me. There will be people who will sit down on their car for like 20 hours, 24 hours a day, and wait for one person to make a mistake. My friend lost $700,000. So that one hack that person did, he was set for life, pretty much. So it's worth for those guys to sit down and wait all day, all night for somebody to make a stupid mistake, which for most of us, we don't even know it's a mistake, right? If you're doing that, I'm sure you don't know. So it's good to keep that in mind. Never
remember to turn your Wi-Fi off when you leave your house. If you've never connected to most Wi-Fi's, it's not going to automatically connect, or any really. It's not going to automatically connect. But sometimes it might be hard to remember if you automatically connected or not or anything. So the best thing for you to do is to turn your Wi-Fi off when you leave the house. If it's an emergency, whatever, or something, I guess that's something different. But for the most part, you're way better off using. You're a lot more secure through your phone, because people don't realize your phone with its cell signal, your data on your phone, it is extremely secure. Phones are quite secure. Their security actually surpasses computers, PCs. So it's much harder, not impossible, but much harder to hack a phone than it is to hack a PC. So you just need to know, but that doesn't mean you're safe, right? That just, if you're not on the Wi-Fi and you're not connected, they have no connection to your phone. How in the world could they hack it? It's not possible.
Yeah. Also, be careful, guys, because many of you use the same emails for everything. So if you're using your phone and you have a computer at home and you use the same email, and that email is connected to that computer, and your computer gets hacked, guess what's going to happen to your phone?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of steps that you got to take. The best thing you can do is buy a separate device and use only for crypto, only for trading. Buy a cheap phone, buy a nano ledge, buy a different computer, do whatever you got to do. If you're investing a decent amount of money for you, and you can't afford buying a cheap phone just to use for trading, do it.
Yeah, and a ledger, honestly, an inexpensive ledger. I think the Nano's the least expensive. What are they, around $200 or something like that?
I was just gonna guess around that, $200.
That there's not many smartphones that are going to be less than that. So just consider that. There's a few. I mean, you can get $100 phone or whatever, but I mean, ledgers are cold wallets. Real cold wallets that are built to be cold wallets are always going to be your better option. But to use a separate phone, to use a separate device or whatnot. So I don't trade any crypto on my computer at all. I have a laptop that I only trade NFTs on, and I have a phone that I only trade crypto on. So if you get any one of those, you're not going to get the other. So, and that's one of the ways that you keep it separate. I do have multiple wallets. I've heard of people talking about they have 100 wallets. That seems crazy to me or whatever.
Sick with it.
Yeah, sick with it. But multiple wallets is a good idea. Don't keep all your eggs in one basket, because they're fragile, right?
Don't create 100 wallets, but create like 10, 5.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean 10 trust wallets or 10 MetaMasks either. I mean different wallets, with completely different. Because the one thing about a trust wallet or a MetaMask is if you hack that MetaMask, you're going to have access to every one of those wallets. Now, your wallet itself won't cross over to the other wallets, but that app will cross to all the wallets. So that's why I have a SafePal, I have a Trust Wallet, I have a MetaMask. I've got them all spread out. I use different ones for the same thing. NFTs in one wallet. Certain NFTs in one wallet. And I have some that are for certain chains. you know. And I also have a wallet that if I'm sketched out about something, that's the wallet I use. You know, that way, you know, whatever, they won't get anything because there's nothing in it. You know, so
Let them
and
work.
people. Yeah, exactly. I hope they waste their time trying to get in this thing. That'll be one person that they didn't have time to get today. You know, so there's just a lot, you know, and all these things. Like I said, every step that you take. Yep. Now, Bluetooth is risky, but Bluetooth is much harder. Bluetooth is quite the. I can't remember the updated Bluetooth, which is not that new. But it is much harder to access than
you also
Wi-Fi.
need to let them have access to your phone.
Exactly, it's going to ask. Yes, exactly. But yes, turn it off too. Yes, it is a vulnerability, but it is far less. And I was going to get to it, but it is far less of a vulnerability than Wi-Fi. Just understand, you know, because Bluetooth is much harder to hack. Just in that it's not built to send as much information as quickly. So, it's hard to brute force anything if you can't get enough information to it. A lot of reasons, but it is still a good idea to keep your Bluetooth off. I keep mine off anyway because I got kids, and half every time they turn anything on, mine will try to connect to it or something. I don't turn my Bluetooth on my phone unless I'm about to use it. Plus, it drains the battery too. So.
Number 6, basic internet safety tips. Number 6.
Set up two-factor authentication. Enable two-factor authentication in order to prevent hackers from accessing your personal accounts and information. Add this layer of security to keep your account safe, even if someone knows your password. So if you have two-factor authentication and somebody knows your password, they're going to have to use that, and there's different ones. It's an email, or it's a text message. It's the authenticators that you have, like, for your phones and whatnot. So if somebody knows your information, they're on a computer or just a random computer, yeah, they can try to log in, but it's going to ask you for information first. And and the same as like Bluetooth, it kind of puts that extra layer. And there are certain things that I've seen recently that have 3-factor authentication, where they're going to send you an email. They're also going to make you use an authenticator with the special code. They're also going to make you use your password or whatnot. So, and one thing we did touch on earlier, but I did want to talk about, was when we talk about facial recognition and fingerprint and whatnot. So, they fixed it where most phones won't allow somebody to get your phone, open your phone with your eyes closed. So when you're sleeping, but it is still possible on some phones, but it's harder. But just remember, facial recognition is not an end all be all, right? It will, and there's some things too to think about personal security. I have kind of a different outlook on some of those type of things. I remember one time they were talking about using your fingerprint to start your car, right? So that way somebody can't steal your car. Well, they can still steal your car. They just need your thumb now. I'd rather keep my thumb and let them have the car, to be honest. So, now if they want your car, if it's facial recognition to start your car, now they need you to start your car. I mean, if somebody wants to steal your car bad enough, they're going to steal it. I'd rather them not have to need me to do it, because I'd rather not be involved in that. I don't want to lose my car, but I don't want to get kidnapped either, just so somebody can get my car. And that's just personal. That's with me. I've always thought about that's kind of yes, it's harder to fake, but I don't know. It kind of drags you personally into a situation you may not want to be in. If somebody wants to carjack you and they need your thumb, it's a problem, because they're likely going to take your thumb with them, and you don't want to do that, So, luckily that has not come to, it hasn't happened. But it is on your phones, and it is on your, so just be careful with that too. There's some pictures, stuff like that. Most phones won't do it, but I'm not saying it can't happen.
I just found out that I can slide to the next slide.
Yeah, you should be able to click on it too. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I liked it. I like how that works, actually. It's easier than a video because you don't have to stop it and pause it and hit it in the right place.
Yeah.
So I was making it, and I said, I'm going to make this as a slide. It's a lot easier. I just didn't know how it was going to work on StreamYard, but it seems to work great. So,
yeah, pretty awesome.
Yeah, I've never done a slide on StreamYard. I've done it plenty of times for presentations and whatnot, but never on StreamYard. And then the last one is actually number 7. I only put 7 on here. I didn't want to get too long and in depth. People start to forget about the first 5, first 6. You know, we can always
go over others. You know.
And I'm actually going to put this on Twitter as a video on Twitter. I just wanted to go over it tonight, and then I was going to put it out on Twitter. So I'll put it. I have an MP4 of it also, and it'll do it. You know, a slow rotation of it so people can actually read it on Twitter too. I just wanted to go over it first before I did it.
Ty's the man.
So, and then we got number 7. Like I said, that's the final one for this evening. It's back up your personal data, back up important personal information on external hard drives, create new backups regularly. A lot of people forget, you know, so to back up their information, and it's extremely important that you back that information up.
I've lost so many pictures from my childhood and good old days with my buddies. So many great pictures because I always thought that I was never gonna lose. My computer was gonna work forever. Even 10 years later, when new computers came out, my computer was still gonna be working. And guess what? I lost all of those memories, and there's no way of going back.
And the one thing I want to touch with about this is, so a lot of people now have clouds, right? So they have cloud storage. So a lot of information is backed up automatically. First of all, make sure that cloud storage is working, but also understand that iPhones in particular, the cloud has been a bit of a security risk. So, you know, and I'm sure they have worked on that and fixed that to some extent, but I do know that several hacks went through their cloud. So
let me tell I thought you were done. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I am. Go ahead.
Okay. And let me tell you guys something. The best advice on being safe in crypto, being secure on your investments, I'm going to tell you right now. It's not in here, but I'm going to tell you right now. Myself, I do not put my money on centralized exchange anymore. Always decentralized exchange. I don't care how safe your device is. If it's on centralized exchange, it's not yours. Okay?
It's not about the device either. It's about the exchange themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's like,
FTX should prove that to everybody.
You know why I just mentioned this? You know why I just mentioned this? Because somebody sent me, and I was like, "What is this?" And I did open right now, so let me share with you guys.
Yeah.
It's not guilty. How crazy is this?
I mean, when he's pretty much done interviews to say that he doesn't know where the money went, which even if that's true, he's still guilty. You know, that's not an answer. That doesn't work. You know, you're still guilty if you didn't know where it went. Unless somebody else stole it from you. You know, you didn't take care of other people's money. It wasn't where it's supposed to be, and that was your job. So, you know.
Back in the days, I used to be like, man, this guy's like the next Mark Zuckerberg or something like that. But then nowadays, I just look at him and I'm like, man, he's such a bad puppet, you know? That guy doesn't even know what he did. I do believe that. He doesn't know where the money went. He doesn't know what he did wrong. So much money, and it's crazy.
Either he's playing stupid or he is stupid. And I don't mean stupid. I don't mean stupid in a way that, look, the guy's
mental
obviously,
problems, right?
Yeah, obviously he's smart. And that, you know, did well, you know, with MIT, all that. He has intelligence, but that doesn't mean he has a lot of common sense. A lot of people with a lot of intelligence are easy to do. You know, I don't know that he is. You know, I can't, to begin to try to peel it all apart and all the onion back of it. It's going to take years. It's going to be a movie for sure.
Let me tell you something. We all know Vitalik, right, from Ethereum. We all know him because of Ethereum. But then, would you ever put your money on his hand So when he has different businesses, like he's too young and he knows a lot about crypto, but that's it. Like FTX was involved in like investing money in offshores, in real estate, and a lot of big things. So I mean, DYOR always. I don't care if you put your money. Oh, Junior, how can I do? How can I do my own research on Binance, on FTX? On if you can't do it, better off not putting your money there. Why would you put your money on something that you don't know where it's going?
The big thing about exchanges is there is a, at the moment specifically, there's a necessity for exchanges, but it is on ramp and off ramp. It's not for holding your crypto. Honestly, I really wish if they do, I really do wish that regulation, the one thing I hope that when it comes that they'll cover is that I don't think exchanges should be allowed to hold crypto. I just don't think so. I think that you should be able to go to an exchange, buy crypto, and move it to a private wallet. That exchange, you can have a Coinbase wallet, but it has to be the decentralized wallet, right? It has to be, because I feel like that you're asking for trouble. What it does is it does exactly what FTX did, and they act like a bank without any of the regulation of the banks. And the banks have all that regulation, and they still, you know what I'm saying? They still get away with murder doing crazy stuff. So without the regulation, it's just the Wild West, and he was able to do whatever he wanted to do, but he was still acting like a bank because he was making high-risk loans with other people's money, which is, the banks aren't supposed to make high-risk loans. That's part of their regulation. But as we saw in 2008, if you let them, they will do it, So because they already know, the one thing about a bank is a bank knows that if it's a big enough bank, the government's not going to let them fail. They can't. They'll start a depression all over again in America. They can't let that bank fail. FTX is not in that same position. They will let it fail, And I think the bear market kind of brought out FTX. Without the bear market, I think if we were in a bull market, FTX would still be rolling wrong right now, and nobody would know about the issues that they have.
I believe the same thing. We all saw what happened with Luna, which I was like, no, man, why would you? I mean, if somebody put $50, if I lose whatever, then I can understand. But then people putting a lot of money on Luna after all that happened, like it's crazy. Why would you do that? There's so many great projects out there, And
well, a lot of people gamble, but they don't like to admit to themselves that's what they're doing. And
I believe most of us like to gamble.
To some extent.
Deep, like I feel like every investment deep inside, we feel like it's a little gamble because we don't know where it's going.
I mean that's true with any investment, not just crypto though, right? I mean it's all a bit of a gamble. It's not a guaranteed. If it was a guaranteed, everybody'd do it. There's no guarantee to it, right? So, and that's any investment. Now, crypto, obviously, for one reason or another, we could go on for days as to why, but crypto is more of a gamble. And the projects that you choose. Look, if you don't want to gamble, then I wouldn't suggest jumping on launches and because that's a gamble. When something launches, especially in this market, for God's sakes, you don't know what's going to happen. It's
something
a gamble.
launches on this market, do not buy.
Telling you right now. The problem now is with the launches is that even if they do well in the beginning, they can't sustain the volume. So because look, projects that have been here for a year can't sustain volume. How is a new project going to do it?
And not only that, people who buy in early on bear markets and are able to take a lot of profits, they're not going to leave the money there because they know it's going to go down. So they're going to take profits and they're going to buy other projects that they trust that's on the lows and wait for those to go up. So
well, there's something that I had a friend of mine that was big into day trading years ago. One thing that I learned from that is that I don't day trade. It's not something I want to do, right? It's just too much because if you're going to day trade, you got to do just that. Trade every day. You can't day trade and only go on there every couple weeks and say I'm day trading, because you're not. Because you're going to win some and you're going to lose some when it comes to day trading. It's about the volume of it and winning more than you lose to make money, right? So when you day trade, you're not day trading if you only go every now and then. You got to stay on top of it, and set your number. Set your number at what you want it to be. If you hit that number, pull your profit and be happy with it. You know what I mean? Don't keep looking at this is not financial advice, but at the same time, I'm just saying, I don't continue to look at it, because if I do, I'm going to make a mistake, right? I'll go back into heavy when it's pumping because I felt like I could have made more and I didn't, or I'll do, it's just a mental game for myself that, all right, I hit my number, I walk away, and when I walk away, I walk away. I'm not saying you don't ever pay it any attention, but just understand you've made some money and maybe you can make some money off the next one. If you're going to flip. Don't regret the flip if you made money. If you could have made more money, you could have made more money. But making money is better than losing money. So regardless of how much you make, it's better than losing money. It's just because, like I said, if you're a gambler and you want to take gambles, I'm not going to tell you not to gamble. Do it if you want to. That's up to you. That's 100%. But just understand the risk of it and understand that nobody's going to feel sorry for you. There are very few people who are going to feel sorry for you if you get caught. I mean, if you get stuck in a bad spot because you were gambling, just know it's gambling.
Very few people shall be your father and your mother.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, nobody's going to come give you money because you got ripped off because you took a big risk. You took a big risk. It didn't work out, But day traders do that. They have successful day traders have a system, and they stick to it, and that's how it works. If they veer from that system, they often lose money. So it's about
day traders are people who've been day trading for more than a year. Just letting you guys know. Yeah.
Yes, and also they know charts, and also they are. They can afford, and a successful day trader can afford to have a bad day because it's part of the game. You will lose. There will be some days you lose money. That's just part of day trading.
Before I was a long-term holder, I used to be a day trader. Overall, I made great profits on it, but I was never in a good mental day. Mm-hmm. Every day for me, if I made profits or not, how can I explain this? I wasn't in peace. I wasn't just
because you got to worry about tomorrow too.
I was worrying about it all the time. I actually didn't do many things in my life because I couldn't go out, because after midnight, in China, the time is different and people trading. I got to be following up on that because I can't lose, trade or whatever. And I realized that my health and my mental is a lot more worthy than just money, and making profits on day trading. That's why I've been a long-term holder for a while, because I don't want to deal with the emotions anymore. One day you're happy, the next day you're very sad because you made something wrong and you lost 20-30% of your portfolio, whatever it is, or 5-10%, right? And it's crazy. So I was like, you know what? I know crypto is going to do well, man. So I'm just going to cash it all out whenever I see that it's big, my bag. And that was one of my best decisions. Like this whole year that, we've been down. Of course, I did get upset. I'm not going to lie. If I told you I wasn't upset, then I'll be lying. But I didn't go crazy about it. I was like, yeah, you know what? It's just another cycle. Wait for it. It's going to come and do better next time, right? I did take profits on a lot of projects that I was investing, not trusting them so much. Last cycle, that was me. I did invest on projects that I trusted, and I did invest on other projects that, let's see what happens. And, long-term hold, that's why I'm only holding 4 projects now that I've been telling many, many people. Rise Up is one of them. And in the term of projects that you can hold for long term, it's something that you can trust, and you'll be like, yeah, is it gonna be there next cycle? Yeah, then put your money there. You know, and I've seen many people um, do a lot of crazy things. I myself, I have had times that all my money was in one project, like not once, twice, but many times when I was trading. You know, and it's risky, and it's not good for your mental health. So I rather just sit down, relax, know that my wealth is gonna be increasing in the future, and just wait for those days. You know, and I think that's the best option that anybody can do. Buy what they trust, what they know that's gonna be there for at least 2 years, and wait for it. You know, and you should do very good at it.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is that if you haven't been in crypto for a while, I think you need to look at the history of crypto. I think you need to understand the history of crypto in a way that if you pay attention, these bear markets are not unexpected. They're expected. Exact opposite of that. They are expected. They're going to happen. And to some extent, they are good for the market in the long run. You know, in the short run, it hurts like hell and it sucks. But what it does is it runs these FTXs, it runs these Lunas, these things that are, hard to sustain through a bear. They show their face, and then they just, and then they clean the market. You know, it's like a cleansing of the market, so that if something makes it through the bear market, likely they've been working their asses off for nothing, for not making any money, so they truly believe in the project. Whether it will succeed or not, look, I can't tell you, right? It's every project is different in a way. Just because they make it the bear doesn't mean they will succeed, but it does mean they will have a much better chance of succeeding because they made it through the bear. When the bull comes, they should be ready, right? And it'll be like every other bull. You can put your money in anything and make some quick money off of it, But, just look at the companies that are continuing to do things. And I'm not talking about hype. I'm not talking about announcing this and announcing that and doing this and doing that. I'm talking about the companies that are still here, still working every day, and that's what they're doing. If you're looking for a lot of profit right now, there's not a lot of it around. I'm not saying it's impossible to find, but it is. You can find it for sure. But it's not what it was a year ago. So if you've only been in crypto for a year and you're using your experience from a year ago, you need to look further back. That's really, you need to look further back and understand that these cycles are part of crypto. In fact, it's part of the stock market too. Yeah. It's not just crypto. I mean, it's part of all markets.
One thing that I'm gonna tell you guys before we wrap it up with tonight. Go back, like Ty said, zoom out on Bitcoin for the last 10 years. Check how, when it ended and how long it took to go to the bottom and then how long it took to go back up. Do those research. Also, do not believe whenever people tell you crypto's a bubble. That's like one of the best things you can do. And stick to your idea. Do your research on that, right? But if you listen to everything we say in terms of security, and then you listen to what we say other days in other spaces on not where to invest, because we don't tell people where to invest, but we tell people how to be a holder, right? Now, what you're gonna hold, it's up to you, but we'll let you guys know how to be a holder. And if you zoom out on Bitcoin chart, you're going to understand what's being a holder, because you're going to see how long it takes to go back up. Like I did mention many times, usually takes around a year and a half for the cycle to go up, for the cycle to go down. It can take more or less, but usually it's around that. And you're going to figure all of that out. You're also going to realize the second point that once Bitcoin started, it was just a joke. It was for the dark market. And now it's growing. Countries are adapting. Bitcoin now, it's like the Federal Reserve, right? I mean, the international reserve, it's not
the International Bank of Exchanges are now allowing their banks to hold. I can't remember, it's 10%. It's a certain percentage they're being allowed to hold in their books right now. So that is bullish in and of itself. I don't care what anybody says. That doesn't mean it's going to turn around tomorrow. But it does mean that banks are now going to start, maybe slowly, but they're going to start buying Bitcoin. because they can. You know, before they couldn't, they weren't allowed to. That tells me that things, to me, I read that as things are going towards crypto, not away from it. Crypto will change. Regulation will change crypto. I mean, it's part of it. That's another thing that I think you need to look at. When you're looking at projects, I would suggest look at projects who are paying attention to coming regulations. Because if they're not paying attention, then they probably don't plan to be here long enough to deal with them. So that's just
I totally agree with that. And HMax just said every 4 years there's a Bitcoin run. That used to be the case, but every cycle we grow and there is more mass adoption. And especially this cycle that companies, countries are, adding up on crypto. Back in the days, like 2 cycles ago, that used to be around 4 years, like 2 years in a year and a half, 2 years in the bull run, and then the bear market, right? The whole cycle. It's a little shorter now. It's around 3 years, around there. And I do believe next cycles should be less and less and less because mass adoption is occurring. Like 2 cycles ago, we didn't think we were going to hit 69K on Bitcoin, right? And, 2 cycles from now, when we hit 100K up, 200K, whatever we do reach, 400K, who knows, right? I mean, if countries adapt, if regulations come out, which they are happening already, like in big countries like Brazil, 2024 on, Brazil is using cryptocurrency as payment and all. I mean, it's out there, guys. And it's going to be, every cycle, it's going to be less and less time doing those cycles in the bull market. So
I think one of the,
but now it's lowering and lowering more.
Yeah, I agree. It's getting shorter. The bear is getting shorter. The bull is getting slightly shorter too. So it's kind of it's a quicker up and down.
People want to make money, they invest, but then people want to profit out because they don't want to lose money. They profit out and then we crash.
Yeah. I also think that for me, one of the biggest bullish statements that I have read this cycle is that as big, if not bigger for me than countries, is Visa and MasterCard. Because if Visa and MasterCard,
Samsung and Apple.
Yeah, if they fully adopt crypto, then it really won't matter what the other countries decide, because you'll just do it through your MasterCard anyway. You'll technically be paying with cash, but through MasterCard because they're making the transactions, So that, to me, internationally, is one of the biggest stories that seems to be just getting glossed over by people. I don't know why.
I mean, right now, there's already debit cards, and actually, you can buy crypto with credit cards now on eBay.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, for us, that might be a little change, but then if you look at the whole structure of the real business and how people make money and sell and buy, that's pretty much the beginning of the new era of crypto. So I do believe that I've been saying this for more than a year. People will be saying that I'm crazy, but I do believe that this next cycle is going to be a super cycle, what we call it. It's like a mega bull run, and because of all of these points getting together, the industry, countries, central banks, everybody, man. I mean, this is crazy.
I mean, my thing is, if it's whatever it is now, 4 to 6 or something % of the world population, I think it is something like that uses crypto, right? So the more mass adoption that comes, I mean, when the number's that low, think how easy it would be to go from 4 to 8, but how much more money that is, in the market. 4 to 8% is doubling the money in the market, right? Or the amount of people in the market, not necessarily the money, but the amount of people in the market. And that's still only 8%. That's still nothing, right? But if you start using crypto and you can use it through, I know Binance, they already have their Visa card. That you base because of their low fees and whatnot. And I'm not promoting I'm not promoting Binance or anybody specifically. I'm just saying
I'm not promoting Coinbase.
Yeah, one of the big things, I will say this, one of the big things about Binance is that they're low fees, and people don't realize this because of their high volume that they're able to do that, because they don't need to make money off of transaction or off of the fees for transactions, because there's so many transactions on Binance. They don't need it, you know. So the majority of your blue chip on Binance now has no fees to buy. So, and they've integrated into a credit card. So that makes them easier. Like I don't have one, but I've been told by someone who does that, you know, basically as long as they have certain crypto in their wallet, whether they have money in their bank account or not, they can still use that card, and it makes the transaction, and it actually doesn't cost them any extra because they get a percentage back of everything they spend, just like any other credit card. So it's you know, because no transaction fees. Now, you're not going to be able to do that on certain exchanges that have extremely high transaction fees, because it'll cost you $20 to get $20, and that's going to be a problem. You know, then you're moving back into bank territory. You know? Yeah. Where they kill you on the fees. Banks have been killing us on fees for years.
Like you said in the beginning, there are great ways of being a bridge, but not being the place. Right? I mean, it's great to use, to buy, to transfer, but to hold in centralized exchange. Not that I don't trust Binance, right, or others, but after FTX, man,
you don't just. The thing is that you got to go beyond trust. You're not only saying that you trust them, you're saying that you trust that they won't get hacked. You're saying that your trust, because you got to understand, FTX is proving it now for everyone to see that is not your money. Those creditors will get paid back. In most cases, those creditors have protections, and they will get the money, but you will not, because you do not have those protections. So the creditors will get the money first in a bankruptcy. And now they're trying to sue to say that basically the way he used it, the users became, the investors on the platform actually became creditors, whether they liked it or not, right? So they're trying to sue to get that done on, you know, on their, in a way so they can become a creditor, so that they can be in line. But still, it's going to get split up, and you're never going to get back what got taken. It's not yours. You know, people laugh it off all the time. You're not your keys, not your crypto. That's true. You know, what happened with people, a lot of people still don't even really quite understand with the FTX debacle. What happened was they were selling Bitcoin and loaning out Bitcoin that they didn't have. You know, so when the bank run started happening and people started pulling their Bitcoin out of it, they didn't have enough to cover it. You know, and that means that anybody that bought Bitcoin at a certain time from them, from one point on, was just buying air. They were not actually buying crypto. You're just, you know, you're really just getting a piece of their crypto. You know, a lot of people gave Robinhood a lot of trouble about that. And, you know, the other exchanges are exactly the same. They don't do it any different. The biggest thing with Robinhood was you couldn't transfer it to, at one time, you could not transfer it to a decentralized wallet. So that was a problem. It was stuck on their platform and you had no choice. They're trying to fix it. I'm not promoting Robinhood either. Don't get me wrong, because they did some pretty grimy stuff during some pumps and things that happened. So, you know, I don't want to promote anybody, but I'm just saying that it's hard to point your finger at any one exchange. Obviously, FTX is easy because they were clearly guilty of it. But they all have the same issue, and that is it's not yours. If you buy it for them, you move it to your wallet, guess what? They had that Bitcoin. They had it, you know, and now you have it, and it doesn't matter what happens to them. You still have your Bitcoin, you know, and you can go to another exchange to offboard if that's what you need to do. You know?
I'm going to show something to you guys related to what 𝗖𝗓𝗡𝗡𝗖𝗧 was saying around 4 years. Hold on, why isn't it showing? There it is. Bam! Take a look at this.
Yeah.
This is a graph that I saw, and you know it looks pretty accurate. It does take 4 years, right? Around for the whole cycle. Doesn't mean it's to hit the bull run. It's going to take 4 years, right? I mean, from the top. I mean, this is the whole cycle. if you think about it, right? This 500K here, this is pretty crazy. I wouldn't think Bitcoin's hitting 500K, but I wouldn't be surprised if we hit more than 100K this year. I definitely wouldn't be surprised. I'm waiting for us to reach more than 100K in the next bull run. I don't know if it's going to be this year, the bull run.
And of course,
this year, then the bull run. One thing is the bull. Another thing is the bull running.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and another thing is to keep in mind, world economics does matter. So a lot of what crypto does and when it does it is going to depend on what the economy does and when it does it. So it's not a end all be all for it, but it is definitely a factor. If people don't have extra money, they can't. What'll happen is an emergency comes up. What do they have to do? Sell their crypto, whether they want to or not. If you need it, you need it. So whether they take a loss or they get it, whatever, take less of a gain than they could have, that happens. So we're in an economic time where more people are in those situations, and probably in the near future, we're going to see more people that are in that economic situation where they have to pull profits or pull losses even. So just pay attention. A lot of people say, look at how much money crypto lost. Well, guess what? Crypto's market cap has gone down, but look at the stock market and see how much their market cap's gone down. It's I think that it's unfair sometimes to crypto. I think we just get a bad rap sometimes. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't be careful, but you should be careful in any investment, not just crypto. So.
Yes, totally agree on that. I was actually checking some of the comments. Guys, it's been an awesome night. A lot of great information. It's getting about that time. But next Tuesday, we are going to have some more new information. Please, when this live is done, Ty's going to post it up, the video. Make sure you go there on tweet and you like and retweet. I mean, that information is crucial for all of us. And many people don't know still. I know, we talked about it many times. Yes. But I did see on the comment section here today, somebody saying, let me know more because I didn't know that. So there's always people learning, right? So let's help them. Let's help the crypto community in general, because if people don't lose their money, they're going to keep investing and buying, and they're going to help, and they're going to bring other people in. And that helps all of us. That helps the crypto in general. So let's be more helpful. That's the right word.
And that's kind of what I was getting at early in the beginning of the show, is that I want to be I've tried to be pretty helpful as much as I can, but I want to be this year I want to be more. I just want to stay, I don't know, I want to be more helpful in a way. The one thing that I want people to realize is that people need help now more than they needed help in the bull.
Yes.
But when the bull comes, there's going to be a whole new set of people that come in that have never dealt with crypto before, and they're the exact same type of people that were before. So every cycle is going to bring a new set. When it goes from 4% to 8%, guess what? It's just, not only have we doubled, but we've doubled the amount of newbies. And they need to understand. Do everything you can to help them understand. Don't just tell people to buy this project, right? Don't say, oh, I bought this project, you should buy this project. Make them understand, if somebody comes to you and wants help with crypto personally, especially like somebody personally, teach them about crypto. Don't just say buy this and buy that. There's a couple of reasons for that, right? One is that if you tell them what to buy, then guess who they're going to blame if it doesn't work out? If you tell them how to figure out what to buy on their own, not only have you helped them to learn how to buy on their own, but you've taken the pressure off of yourself on making their decisions for them. Because you're never going to be in a good position when you make other people's decisions. Because guess what? You've just given them someone to blame besides themselves. And one of the things I know about this world today is that people are constantly looking for someone else to blame besides themselves. And sometimes understand that you can place blame on yourself and not remove blame from somebody else. So if you bought into a rug pull, if you accept the blame, the mistake that you made. That doesn't mean that you take any blame away from the people, the scammers that stole your money. They're still just as guilty as they ever were. They deserve every bit of blame as they ever did. But if you don't accept some of that blame, you will not learn the lesson that you need to learn. And it was wasted money. If you at least learn the lesson, you won't make that mistake again. And that's why I think it's really important that people, I see a lot of this in crypto, whereas, people like, I want to gamble. I want to gamble. I want to gamble. And when they gamble and lose, they get mad. Well, you were gambling. If you go to the casino and you gamble and you lose all your money, you can get mad all you want, but nobody cares. You were in the casino. And I'm not saying crypto is technically a casino, because it's not. But certain projects and certain investments are just like a casino, if not worse. In that the casino has a reason to be legitimate, right? Whereas a lot of projects don't. So if you want to gamble, but accept that responsibility and learn what you could. Look at that project deep. Don't run away from it. Don't get yelled at. Just get to yelling at the devs and all this stuff, because they don't care. If they're scammers, they don't care how much you yell at them. It doesn't matter to them. They're just going to go find the next guy. So, or girl. So what you should do is you should take that opportunity to look at what you could have seen, to have foreseen that, and don't do it again. Because I hear a lot of people say, that they want to blame the devs, and that is okay. Blame the devs, do that. But also understand there's something you could have done to stay out of that investment and learn that lesson, because you're not going to get your money back most likely. But if at least you learn the lesson, maybe you can make it back the next time by investing in the right project.
Totally agree. Nice words, Ty. Good to know that your New Year's resolution was, about helping others. I know you didn't say that, but by what you said,
I mean, I wouldn't say it's so much a resolution, but I wouldn't say it's so much a resolution, but at the same time, it's just I'm trying to have more patience. I'm not one that likes to bicker a whole lot especially if somebody starts throwing, if they start insulting me, then I'm usually going to just say, pretty classless of you, and walk away. I'm going to continue to do that, because it's not productive at all to just sit and get bashed on. But I just want to do more to try to help, as much as I can, as far as like trying to maybe interjecting sometimes when I don't want, and other people's arguments, and say, I'm not going to sit here and say this person's right or wrong, but I'm saying y'all need to be nicer to each other so y'all can learn something from each other, I mean, and if you don't want to listen, you don't want to listen. If it only gets one person to be nicer to somebody else, then it's worth it. It's worth it. So
say what you want to hear. That's the right.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I understand. You just get, the big thing about rug pulls and scams is they hurt. They're very emotional. So first of all, you've lost money, and that hurts in and of itself, and that's painful. But a lot of times it's the more pain actually comes from feeling like you've been let down or taken advantage of. That's where the real pain comes. You see, because people put their lives into trying to pump a project, and I'm not saying don't do that. If that's what you want to do, then do it. I'm just saying that try not to you just understand that pain. It's more than the money. That to me, that's more of a reason to stay out of the rug pull than the money sometimes, is because mentally it's hard to deal with, and it's way more than money, because the money's going to be gone either way. But it hurts way worse when somebody stole it from you than it does. And you feel like, okay, like I said, it's easier to take the blame yourselves and learn something from it if it just feels like a project failed. But if somebody rug pulled you, a lot of people learn nothing except for to yell at people and be mad. And that's okay. You can yell at them and be mad, but go back and see what you could have done. Because likely there was somebody in that chat, likely there was somebody on Twitter that said, look at this. This is a problem. See if it had anything to do with it, and next time, look at that, that'll help. And every time you'll learn a little bit more, and you'll make it easier. You'll eliminate a lot of projects. I'm not going to lie to you. if people really do their own research and they really do understand it, they will eliminate a ton of projects to invest in. That's not a bad thing, because I'm here to tell you that the scams in crypto are over 90% on all chains. So that's, you know, you want to eliminate as many as you can. You know, they're not all scams. Just a lot of them are really easy, and most of them are not sophisticated. They're basically dropping a token. They know that there's people out there that look at every new token that comes out, and they just invest right away. And they're after your $20 or $50. And if they do that to 100 people, they've made $500, $200. They shut it down. They drop another one in an hour. They do that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's not a lot of sophistication. They don't even put money into promoting it or anything. They just roll them out and roll them in. That's why there's so many of them. Some of them are not profitable, but it's just like day trading. If they do it enough and they do it consistently enough, they will make more than they lose. You know,
Yeah,
so
we agree.
Just do your own research. Remember the your part and do your own research. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to somebody that tells you to buy projects. Listen to yourself. You know, if somebody says I should buy a project, ask them why. And if they can't give you a good answer why, then you need to find out why. I'm not saying don't invest. It might be a good investment, but you need to find out why yourself. Because they've just basically blindly invested, and maybe they've done well. That doesn't mean you're going to do well. It might not go up another day after you buy it. You just never know, you know? So do your own research. That's the big thing. The your part gets left out by a lot of people. They think that doing their own research is watching, you know, call channels and stuff. That's not doing your own research. That's not at all doing your own research. Most of the time, they make money off of the people in their call channels. Most of the time, they have already bought what they're calling, and they will dump when everybody buys in. So just be careful, you know. And if you do that on your own, you make those decisions, and you got to live with them, and you understand it, and you'll make better decisions next time.
Yep. I totally agree on that, and everything that we did have said this live. Next Tuesday, we will have more content on what we were saying, different content, but on the same topic. And we're going to be, you know, answering more questions. It was an awesome live. Thank you so much, Ty, for the slides. It was very educative. And please, when you share the tweet, tag me so I can share as well, because people need to know this. So we can share, you know, everybody here that's, you know, live. Make sure you smash the like button, right? Also, please make sure you're following us. You probably are already. If you're not, make sure you're following the Rise Up Twitter, which is Rise Up _LLC, if I'm not mistaken. Just put it Rise Up. You're gonna find it.
Rise Up _Fin LLC.
Okay, I was almost right.
You were close. You just had the underscore. They maybe put that underscore in there.
If you want to get any more information, you can also check the website, which is riseup.financial. And you can, right? That's correct. Rise Up.
Yes, Rise Up. We have several. So our website, our actual corporate website is riseupfinancial.tech. We have Rise Up Financial, or sorry, I'm confusing myself. We have a link tree too that has everything. But if you go to the riseupfinancial.tech, you can get to any of our websites from there. So that's really the easiest one, because Rise will be coming out, and you know, probably the first quarter this year, depending on the market. Like we said, we will completely keep an eye on the market. We're not, just like you know, we talked about, we're not launching right. Promise you that. Yeah. So you know. But there'll be a lot of information. That's probably the best place to get all of information, because it'll give you how to get to everywhere.
Take a look at the website, and next Tuesday we'll be here. And then if you do have any questions, we'll be answering. Or even before that, you can always DM us, and Ty, Rise Up, or myself, I'll be able to help as well. And I will be more than happy to answer. But with that being said, everyone, thank you so much for hanging out with us, for smashing the like button. Great information we did share today. I know it might sound like whatever, but it might save you millions. Your investment today can be millions next year, right? So be safe out there, and make sure you're following us. Follow the Rise Up team on Twitter and on YouTube. And I'll be seeing you guys Thursday. We have our live here on the channel. Thank you so much, Ty, for all this great information and all the knowledge that was being shared here today.
Thanks for having me. I enjoyed it.
Oh,
bye, everybody.
Goodbye. Thank you.